Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Making Waves at Sea Level. My name is Thom Singer, and I want to thank you for listening to this podcast. And before I get started, I want to do a shout out to my friend Trevor Blondeel, who I know listens to this show every single week. So, hey Trevor. Today, I want to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. I want to talk about the importance of community building. Now, we talk about community a lot in the business world, and we talk about the fact that it's important to have a network. It's important to support your community. It's just that people matter when we're talking about business. We can't take the people out of our business efforts. Yeah, there's a lot of focus right now on AI, machine learning, and everything that's happening in the world of digital computers, quantum computers, etc. However, I think that your secret weapon is to really being connected and having community. Now, some of you may know that I actually run an organization called the Austin Technology Council. Now, I've only been there for 2 years, but the Austin Technology Council is a 32-year-old organization that was founded to help bring the Austin software community and technology communities together back in the early 90s. Now, if we had a time machine and you could go back to the early 90s, a lot of people around the country and around the world didn't really know much about Austin, Texas. They knew it was where the University of Texas was located, and they knew it was the state government of Texas. But they didn't really think of Austin as having a strong business community. In fact, if you go back even farther, some of our forebearers who really started this tech boom that really happened of building this innovation center that is now what we know as Austin, Texas, they said if we don't come together, build community, and grow our business sector, where will our grandchildren work? They'll not be able to live here. That was a famous quote from Dr. George Kosmetsky, who at one time was the head of the University of Texas Business School and went on to being who we call the godfather of Austin Tech. He really believed that if you wanted to have success, the community had to come together. And there were probably 30, 40, 50 people who came together back in the 80s and 90s that really looked towards how can we grow this business sector? How can we make Austin something that stands out, where large companies want to move offices or move their headquarters, where it's a place where startups can thrive, and that we have a place where those mid-sized growth-oriented companies can get connected to the resources that they need to be able to thrive and become the next unicorns. And of course, it happened. It worked. Austin, Texas is thriving. In fact, we are one of the places you think of when you think of technology hub. However, if we go back to that, hey, where will our grandchildren work effort, it meant that all of the business leaders, people from academia, and government leaders needed to come together and get working in the same direction. Now, that was about building community. And when you build community, you get the foundation started where great things can come in the future. Now, I am positive. I knew some of these people, some of the 50 or so people who really made Austin something spectacular. I was fortunate enough to know many of them 30 years ago, 33 years ago when I moved to Austin. I wasn't involved in this. I don't take any credit for it, but I knew some of them. And here's the thing I'm pretty sure. I didn't know all of them, but here's what I think I understand. I'm pretty sure that some of them had egos, because you know what? Human beings, we all have egos. I'm pretty sure that some of them had agendas. They were doing this for the betterment of their own career, their own company, but they were willing to come together and work together for the greater good of the community. So agendas aside, egos aside, and I'm also pretty sure not all of them always liked each other. But again, they were able to leave their differences at the door and work towards building community. And other cities are now looking at Austin saying, how do we create a vibrant business community that's thriving, that's booming? How do we create that in our community? And there's a lot of things that happened. Some of them were by design, some of them were lucky, but the main thing that happened was a focus on community, a focus on networking, a focus on bringing people together for the common good. So this is true for the city that you live in, but it's also true for the company that you're working in. If you're a leader in a business and you're not somehow promoting community inside your company, in your industry, and in the greater community where you live and work, I think you're leaving money on the table for the long run. And I hate to leave money on the table. I think we need to be maximizing the resources that we have. And the people that you have, that's your most important resource. The secret weapon that you have is the people who you work with, the communities that you are a part of. And so today, I just want to encourage you of why. You got to be doing something for your community. So the first thing I'm going to say is, what organizations, nonprofit organizations, is your company supporting in your industry or in your local community? And if you can't come up with 2 or 3 where you're paying dues, you're sponsoring things that they do, you're attending their events, you're hyping them up around town, you're actually giving support in some manner, well, why not? I get it from a lot of people who say, well, I'm too busy. I can't focus on that. Well, again, great. Leave money on the table. Let your competitor get the leg up. So you've got to be involved with some things. You've got to be you as a leader in a company, whether you're CEO, CFO, CTO, or a manager. You have to be setting the example that we care about community, that community really matters. So I encourage you, get involved with something. If you live in Austin, for God's sake, please support the Austin Technology Council. I'm trying to use ATC to be a thread that connects all of the nonprofits that support our business community, because we can't all compete with each other. A community isn't made up of a bunch of people who said, I want to win, so they lose. That's not a community. That's a competition. Community means we all have to rise with that tide. And so I'm trying to be sure that we're the thread that runs through and supports all of the other organizations. I'll talk about the events they're having. I'll put them in my newsletter. I'll like everything they do on social media if they're willing to do the same thing for me, because I think that's how we build community. When the whole community sees everybody working together, the whole community wins. But we can't do it just because some yo-ho leader like me is running a nonprofit. We need you, the grassroots leaders in the community, to step up and take that lead. If we're a grassroots organization, we need the grassroots helping us make the decision of where we're going. So ask yourself, what organizations are we supporting? And please, today, even if it's not my organization, even if you don't live anywhere near Central Texas, make sure that you're supporting somebody, some group that is fighting for the common good of building community in your area. Same thing is true in your industry. I'm super active in the National Speakers Association because, in addition to running ATC, I'm a working professional speaker who will give about 25 keynotes this year around the country. And I will tell you that I never could have found success in that very weird, lonely business if it hadn't been for me getting involved and supporting and volunteering with the National Speakers Association. So if you're a plumber, get involved with the National Plumbers Association. If you're a locksmith, get involved with the National Locksmiths Association. Whatever industry you're in, make sure that you're uplifting your industry in addition to some things that are local in your community. So I have 5 reasons why I think it's super important that you make community building important starting right now. Number 1, innovation and collaboration. That's right. When you're part of a community, it's easier for you to see what your competitors are doing, to see what people in other industries are doing. Ideas spark ideas. And when you can really see what's going on, you can innovate and come up with even better ideas and putting 2 things together. And when you can find another group that you can work with, that collaboration really sends everything through the roof. If you're just going to do everything in a silo the way you've always done it, you're not going to be able to innovate. And again, you're going to leave money on the table. The second thing is it's about attracting and retaining talent. That's right. When your company shows that we are for our communities, we support building communities with each other inside the company, and we want to see our industry thrive, people want to work there. When you're somebody who is uplifting your community, people want to be part of that because we all want to feel we're part of something and we want to see our team succeed. The third tip is resource sharing and support. One of the reasons that the Austin Technology Council was founded was to bring resources together because the tech community in Texas was very new 32 years ago, and there weren't the lawyers and the accountants and the venture capitalists and the consultants and the other services that allowed growing tech companies to thrive. But because people were brought together, suddenly it looked really attractive to these service providers to open offices in Austin. And you saw lawyers and accounting firms nationally flock to Austin in the late 90s because there was enough, enough of bringing everybody together that there was an actual ecosystem where they could work and serve and make their money. So when you bring people together, the resources suddenly appear. The fourth reason is economic growth and stability. Now, this is true for a region. When we're talking about Austin, we need the local business people, the local civic-minded leaders to come together and rally around so that other people can see that Austin's a great place to move their business, or people feel emboldened to create a startup. And when we do that, the whole area is going to thrive. But this is true for your company too. When you really build community inside your company where people like who they're working with, they actually have done surveys. People are happier at work and they do more and they're more innovative when they have friends in the workplace, when they feel a sense of community. So when you do that, it helps the economy of your company and brings stability across the board. And then the fifth tip really is around personal growth and development. This is true for you as a leader, but it's also true for everybody who works inside your company. When they feel connected and they're part of a community and they're involved with groups like the Austin Technology Council or whatever it is in your industry, they can actually find things that they can go and learn. They can actually help teach others. They feel they're part of that community and it boosts their ability for self-development. True for the people in your company, but true for the people in your whole community or industry. So I am challenging everyone who's listening today. I want you to ask yourself, if you've made it to this point in the podcast, I want you to ask yourself right now, what am I doing to build community? What groups is my organization supporting? And what am I going to do to make sure that tomorrow is better than today, not just for me, but for all the people who make up my community? Do that right now. And in fact, let me know what you're doing. Send me a note that says, yeah, we totally support our community. Or if you don't, send me a reason to let me know why your company doesn't think community matters. Because I think community does matter. And I always like to hear opposing points of view because that's how I learn. Because I want you to be part of my community. And I appreciate you for being part of this podcast community. I started this show 10 years ago. I've done 800 interviews on this show over the years. And now I'm doing these solo episodes. And I'm just trying to make sure that people don't feel alone. Somehow people feel connected, whether you're in the C-suite and you're making waves or whether you're just starting out in your career. I believe that all community matters. And I want Making Waves at Sea Level to be a community for you. Hey, thanks for listening to the show. And please tune in for the next episode because we'll be back in about a week with another thing that I'm going to pontificate about. And you can let me know what you think about these shows.